All right, let's get started with the AI Unleashed components first. The Behemoth, here it is. This took a lot of revision over the past year to get it mold ready. We simplified some of and absorbed some of the loose elements, but actually increased the complexity of the surface design. And so we have like the cables that have been sort of absorbed. It's extremely heavy, it's thick, it's really solid. It's basically everything that we were hoping for from the Behemoth. So we're really pleased with it. The gray one comes with AI Unleashed. The tans, if you buy an extra one, so that there's player differentiation. And we've already built into the skirmish maps Valley of the Titans, as well as one more where you actually battle these. You take control and battle these giant behemoths against each other in order to, as one of your routes to victory. It's also used in the AI Unleashed, the second one, but it's not necessary. It's optional because not everyone will have the second behemoth. The drones, the Seeker drones, I'm really impressed with these. In some ways, almost more than the Behemoth, because I just wasn't sure if we were going to get these turbine details and these air intakes and exhausts. And you put your player token in it to show who's controlling it, and then you can put damage directly on there. Just a nice little feature. It worked out really well. The turrets are very new. So this is one of the last things that we designed. They were originally spider turrets, which just didn't look quite right. They were extremely fragile, and so we spent quite a bit of time, and we ended up with this, which was based off of the art direction of the Behemoth. We tried to design it so that it's like the turrets, came out of the same AI manufacturing plant, same level of technology as the Behemoth. They're a lot bigger than they were originally going to be. They're thicker, they're taller. They also were going to just come in gray, but now they're in tan and gray so that you can utilize them in the skirmish maps. There's quite a few places to use them if you have the AI Unleashed, to use them in the regular campaign. Your base defense, you can use these as base defense turrets instead of just tokens. Oh, so we put a weapon slot on the top, and that's just sort of designed so that you can put any weapon you want in there, although only really the missiles and the plasma artillery is what's designed for that. And then the AI Unleashed campaign uses that to distinguish if it's an upgraded mech. These are so well designed, you will need no glue on these at all. They're we kind of got better at this as we went along. And they're entirely interchangeable with the mechs themselves. So the AI Unleashed, the AI uses mechs, but now you'll be able to make it like a very, make it a drone AI tetrapod, or as opposed to a player-controlled tetrapod. And so all the AI will sort of be on theme, and the AI uses different types of mechs, drone mechs that they send after you. They send tetrapod mechs, tank mechs, reverse jointed mechs. So they have each type, and they operate differently. They have different tactics, and they have their own card set. So here's an AI tetrapod and an AI tank, and that's just some cool functionality, I think. All right, so how did everything else turn out? We're coming out of a year of a detour. Here's all the steel molds. We have many more than these. What a feat of engineering. They're really cool. They have a lot of precision, and these are the first mechs that were pulled from them. And this is so that we've seen a lot of mech samples, mock-ups, but this is the first time we've seen the actual production run of the mechs, and it's all come out more detailed than we actually had hoped. They're really, really strong. They're extremely sturdy, and more importantly, everything fits. So we went through and just tested everything, all the weapons, all the torsos on every type of legs, and they just snap right in. Some of them might need rubber cement. The torsos to the legs usually will need rubber cement. You can permanently glue it, but if you want to, you just need a little dab of rubber cement, and it creates just enough of a seal that you can lift them up, and that will keep them swappable. So they've already started on the gray. The tan turned out a little too orange, more orange than we would like. So they're changing the Pantone on that. Here's the bipedal mech rocking a missile pod and a medium laser. So look at that. That worked out really well, and I'm just so psyched that I finally know what it is that you're going to be using specifically. So here are your core set mechs. We couldn't be more pleased. It's all worked out really well. It took a while to get here. The buildings, we never really had too much doubt about these. These turned out razor sharp, really functional. They stack up basically infinitely high, particularly if you get the extra little building pack we're including into the Pledge Manager. These little slots on top, nice little feature. They help keep your, all these buildings are destructible. So they're being destroyed, and so that tracks your damage nicely without getting all over the place. 16 arms somehow became 40 over the past year or so. So now we have this really expensive set of arms, and the steel molds worked out really great because there's like a 1/4 of a millimeter margin of error on these, and they all work. Oh, that's the old board. This is the new board. The new board actually does look better than the old board in public. We added on these UI onto the board in our sort of pursuit of streamlining the game. So this used to be off board with little cards, mini cards and tokens. But now, as you can see, you can track like what mechs have died on this space. You track your primary objective there, and then both teams can easily see. This is a respawn track that were added onto the boards. I like this a lot. So whenever anything dies, before it used to go off the board, and then you'd have to count when it came back on. But now, like, it just goes onto the respawn track directly according to its weight. So a medium mech would go there on 2. Support units just sort of queue up. And then during the recharge phase, everything shifts down. And if you're on the last space, you respawn anywhere in the base. And then it just creates a nice little production queue, respawn queue that's visible across the table. And then the AI Unleash, you can see what your opponents are doing. And then the AI Unleash uses this quite a bit because the AI Unleash on a lot of the missions is producing stuff, and you're trying to sabotage the production, but stuff is coming out each round, and you can see what's coming. So I don't think you've ever seen these. This is just a test print that was done about 60 days ago, and we were switching our printing to Verino as well. And we wanted to see how well our art and graphic design translated to the printing process. That's not the final board. The final board is going to be 350 GSM. It's going to be coated. That's just that's completely untreated, and the final's black core. So this is the new UI. These are the new mech boards. We spent a lot of time on this over the past year, like tweaking this and developing the new art direction of the game. There's no in-game assets for us, so we had to create our new world. And that's the here's the light tetrapod, and you can see that the weapon slots have just become a lot more colorful. We've got a little bit of a sharper UI and armor damage system. Here's the new starting mechs, which I really like a lot. Medium tetrapod, and it grew organically, and it took kind of this extra time. So it's kind of an advantage to having the delay with the miniatures, is we were able to really develop this, and it's sort of neon. It's a little more Tron-like. It's instead of being like, it's not anime and it's not BattleTech. It's this more. It's still got sort of dark and brooding, but it's colorful, which is great because we have these colored lights that we are blasting around the game. So it's kind of a colorful city, a colorful world, neon world, and it matches these. We have these very colorful damage cubes, 175 of those, and the colorful damage dishes, the LED bases, the support units, and it's sort of become a consistent theme, and I hope you like it. It's become sort of its own creature in its own world, and anyway, it looks really sharp set up on your table, and I hope you love how it all looks and it's come together. Oh, as you can see, so the mech boards are differentiated by their weight. So light, medium, heavy, and elite all have a different border, just to help make that be distinguished a little better. So here's the cards. These are not actual test prints from the manufacturer on the cards. They're making the cards now. But these were redesigned to fit the weapon slots. And the cards will be 280 GSM black core cards. Rounded corners. These aren't even rounded. But you can see like how they match up. They're a lot more colorful as well. And this has actually affected the gameplay, as it turns out, because people can really identify what your loadout is, where you're putting your gems, and what you're working with. which changes. It's made the game a little bit more adaptable. You really watch, whether someone else is, whether their energy cannon is online or if it's offline for another round. And if it is, then your team goes in on them, or if they have very much boost left. So I think it's created a really cool looking control panel for all of your mech boards. So the campaign has shifted and changed. I like it. I may be biased. This is the new campaign tracking sheet. It used to be just a 20-page paper pad. Now it's going to be a 10-page cardstock pad. And I reduced the the campaign missions from 12 down to 10. I shifted 2 of those missions over into the skirmish maps. There's quite a few reasons for that, but mostly it's for about campaign balance and the story, which adapts according to what the current score is. It's not necessarily a branching story, but each mission changes depending on what the score is. And as you win more of the campaign, it gets politically more difficult for you, and NPC factions start joining and siding with the underdog. In fact, the storyline almost starts to follow and focus on the underdog, the actual losing team, who tries to take on your power and your supremacy. So the campaign, the first time you play it, I think it's going to be a pretty special experience the first time you play it, and hopefully on repeat plays, because things really do shift depending on what's happened before. Bottlenecks that slowed the game down was shopping. It's much as fun as it is. There's 98 cards for new players to kind of parse. So we created a lot of guides. Just this is right on the back of the campaign sheet. It shows every single weapon in the core set and why it's priced the way it is, and like, oh, this has really good burst, or this has very good sustained damage, and it just helps them to start to learn about the 12 weapon classes that are part of the core set, and shows some of the basic boosters and equipment. For the 8 weapon classes that come in the add-on packs, you're on your own, although we do have guides for those in the rules reference guide, which has also been really expanded. I wouldn't say it's quite a RPG source book, but that's the direction that we've kind of taken it. We've thrown in a lot more pages, a lot more guides, a lot more art, and just extra reference materials, just a go-to source book for this game/game system. So here's what is still we need to fix, that we're still kind of waiting on, which all should be finished up by the end of the year. They put really giant base plates onto the Behemoth. They're a little too big. I would just take them off, but it is maybe a little forward balanced without them. I mean, it would be fine, but we're going to split the difference. We're going to put very narrow ones and just extend out the base plate a little bit to make it a little more stable on the front end, since we already paid for those anyway. So we need to change the Pantone color on this truck. It's a little hot pink. So as you can see, it's just pretty minor stuff here. But we haven't received the actual folding board, and I want to be able to see that. We've got a test print of the board, and then we got to see the cards. The support units turned out adequate. So they're sitting on 266,000 of these damage blocks, and they're the wrong size. They thought they ordered 10 millimeter. The more common size is like this 8 millimeter size. But so they're reordering it, and they sourced it. They're basically off the shelf. So they've got to order another 266,000 of those. And it's kind of a big deal. Like these small ones are a little fiddly, at least for my hands. And the 10 millimeter brings it up a notch, and it fits better in the trucks and on the building slots. So the game is going to be really big and heavy. The core set is just over 10 pounds. It's 11 pounds, basically shipping weight. And this is so we now know the exact size and dimensions. And this box that we actually happen to use for our prototypes is the exact dimensions, except it's a ½ inch shorter on one side. That's it. Otherwise, that is your core set box. So it's really big. We've put in a really beautiful tray. That's one of the items that they're working on. We haven't actually gotten our hands on yet. That's designed to really help with setup and teardown, particularly teardown, because you can just take all of the players' components, all their damage blocks and tokens, put them in these little dishes, and there's holes for it in the tray, and they stack up on top. And then the mech boards, mech sheets, and rule books go on top of that to seal it in, and then the board. So you could really shake it. You don't even need plastic bags. Like, there's a spot for everything. So the tray is definitely a little upgrade, but we just love game organization, so we've thrown it in. The actual full Ultimate Bundle is about 25.5 pounds, which puts it at a 26-pound shipping weight, which is a lot of game. All right, let's wrap up this video. We are next step is we're going to be doing an update on the Pledge Manager before we release it. We do have some numbers that we kind of need from Aetherworks and a Canadian importer, Australian importer, but we won't wait too long for them. But our next update, if it's not before Christmas, it'll be right afterwards, to explain the Pledge Manager, a little bit about inventory counts, and we'll go do a nice little expose, if not a gameplay video of the add-on packs and just how much they've added to the game. They turned out really great, as well as some online PDFs of the manuals and the really cool tutorial, which I will not get into right now, but we spent a lot of time on it. It's a great interactive way to teach the game, and here's a couple pages of it, as well as we'll release, maybe, I don't want to spoil the story too much, but maybe the first 1 to 3 missions of Act 1. If we don't talk to you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, and we'll be talking to you very soon, right afterwards. Thanks for sticking with us. We're basically at the very end, and I'm excited, as always, for you to play this game that's actually improved quite a bit this past year. Bye now.